Hello, friends, and happy Friday. I hope everyone is doing well this evening. I hope your weekend is off to a fantastic start. I hope you're a little bit more awake and lively than I feel tonight. I am beat. It's been a rough week, been a long day, but I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to have the pipe lit haunted bookshop in the Matches Memorial Friday 7 LA, as is the tradition here on the Friday night live stream. And let's get things rolling along here. I am going to hopefully push one button and be able to read the chat. Look at that, it worked. Ah. So let's see, we got Mushroom Leg, who's feeling sarcastic tonight. There's Steve, David Bookshop. David's got Haunted Bookshop and a gray bow, and he's been looking forward to this. Me too. Mushroom Leg's got a Sassini 8 dot with Black House and pants, of course. There's Big Dave. How you doing, Big Dave? Steve has got Carl Eric with some McBaron original choice. Chris Weber checking in from Iowa. Good to see you, Chris. Flint Hill Briar. My goodness, going too fast for me. Snow covered in north central Kansas. My goodness. No more snow here, but cold as can be. James Steidel. Groovin' Piper, good to see you, Cody. South is getting snow and northern Vermont had so little. Oh, Nevada had so little today. Got Vermont on the mind. Gary Edminster, Ben Muir, and Usual Tobacco with Black Coffee. Good to see you, Gary. There's Signal Man Tony from Rhode Island. Codger Jim, saying there's snow and ice in Georgia. Bona Piper, happy Friday, Christian. Backcountry Pipes, having his Friday 7 LA Haunted Bookshop. Good to see you, Mark. There's Paul Ropp. Hope you're well, happy. He's loading his Kamoy Grand Slam straight brandy with some Haunted Bookshop. A lot of Haunted Bookshop catching fire tonight. There's Groovin' Piper's got C&D Stovepipe and a 7LE Series 3 Shape 644. There's Phil Rivera. Late fail on spindle break-in period. Oh no. Bad potentiometer for spindle speed, waiting on reply from Grizzly. Grizzly's usually pretty good with their customer service, Phil, so hopefully they'll get a part out to you quick, but that stinks. Sorry to hear that. We're going to have the furnace come on. My voice is going to sound funny. I apologize. Chris Weber's got Dark Holler in a mirror. There we go. Brian Dawkins, not after being up until 1:30 a.m. Yeah, Brian, that was my problem. I couldn't sleep last night, and I think I'm running on like 3 hours sleep. So as soon as this is over, I'm going to close my eyes and be out until tomorrow morning. Algonquin Briar, good evening to you, sir. Good to see you. There's Cypress Piper, the occasional Clay Piper. Just ice and melting snow in South Carolina. Well, that's plenty. That's kind of what we got here. I mean, we got a lot of melting snow. There's a little bit of ice, but it's just been cold. It was, I think with the wind chill, it was like -7 this morning when I went out. I forgot to put, I usually put, what's it called? Carmex on my lips because they get chapped when it's that cold. And I forgot this morning and they were hurting all day and it's a long story. Anyway, I don't like it when it gets cold. Too cold outside to smoke, Brian? Oh, sorry to hear that. Groovin' Piper's still not man enough for Haunted Bookshop. Oh, that's not true. Cody, I mean, some folks just never come around to it, and that's okay. It's what you like, not a matter of being man enough. Now, if you were smoking some, peach ripple with cream and applesauce, then maybe we'd question your manhood, but nah. There's plenty of non-haunted bookshop blends you can smoke. There's Patrick Grant. Good to see you, Patrick. Steve's pipes froze this morning. I assume you mean your water pipes. I hope you mean your water pipes. I hope everything you thought okay, though. That can be a real mess. Piper on the 45. Good to see you. You want to see how long a nap I can take, Phil? You may get to see it. I should not say this publicly. I had a one-on-one meeting with someone today, and I actually caught myself falling asleep during the meeting. They were just talking and talking and talking. And, I don't think they noticed that. There's the CC Piper. Just tried ODF at the worst. Well, there's other blends out there. Chad Elliott. Believe me, CC Piper, there's plenty of other fish in that sea. There's old Uncle Mike. How you doing there, Mike? Oh, there's a beverage, Patrick. Thank you for asking. I think I will open that right now. It's a repeat of last week. I've been sort of detoxing from the Christmas cheer of Sweet Baby Jesus. I've just been sticking with the Yuengling Black and Tan, which is a perfectly fine beer. And this greatly increases the chance that I'll take that nap that Phil was talking about. I don't know why I suddenly became left-handed just now, but if I do take a nap, do me a favor, don't be lame and make fun of me. Take bets on how long it'll take me to wake up. You know, I'd like to wake up to somebody saying, "Yeah, I won," and gamble. You know, let's all get arrested for that. Turn off YouTube for gambling. Let's move, Piper. Hello, Peter. Peter's got a haunted bookshop in his Friday, Savinelli. Gary likes the black and tan. I think it's nice. It's a nice balance. It's got a little bit more body than a regular Yuengling, but it's not too heavy. Ball Wrap's got a snort of Jim Beam Black, a short snort. Brian Dawkins, dark drip coffee, no sugar. Nothing wrong with that. Old Uncle Mike says he had a beautiful day in the 60s. My goodness, Mike. I mean, I shouldn't complain about the cold here, because Everett Young will come on and make me look like a wimp, because he's probably sitting out in shorts at minus 40 degrees smoking a pipe. But I would have loved it to be in the 60s today. Patrick's got Low Country Virginia Burley, wonderful blend. And here's Friday Savinelli. I just had some of that this morning, actually. Got a very small amount left. Trying to decide if I'm going to buy more. I mean, I eventually will buy more, but it probably makes sense for me to smoke something else in the morning for a while, just to use up stuff that I've got. Flynn Hill built himself an igloo and he's going to go camping in his driveway. That's pretty cool. Well, Brian, I would say we'll try not to tempt you, but let's face it, you're running with a bad crowd right now if you're not gonna be able to smoke a pipe tonight. We're just gonna tease you. I'm sorry. Apparently, when I'm tired, I get mean. Old Uncle Mike's asking any opinion on Edward G. tobacco. I think he means the Edward G. Robinson blend. We've talked about that in the past. I've not had it, but other folks said that they enjoyed it. A couple folks said it was, if I remember right, a light aromatic. Um, Folks that have actually smoked it can comment. That's not my snow, Piper on the 45. Wow, you had a foot of snow during Christmas and it's all gone already backcountry? Wow, that we had only about an inch and it's still on the grass and stuff. But most hated, checking in to say that Edward G. Robinson is pretty good. Okay, so Big Dave was the guy that asked about Edward G. Robinson last time. Or maybe it was 2 times ago, Big Dave, I don't remember. That's an interesting fact there, James. Shelby Foote smoked 2/3 Edward G and 1/3 half and half. Gary says the ground is covered in Ohio. I gotta tell you, at the place I work, they put down so much rock salt. You know, I guess it's a safety thing, but there's so much rock salt that first off, you go crunch, crunch, crunch everywhere you walk, and I honestly think it's more hazardous than walking on ice because you could easily slip on that much rock salt. Old Uncle Mike tried a sample haunted bookshop and it wasn't for him. That's okay, Mike. There's more blends than we know what to do with, and I'm sure that everybody's taste is a little bit different. And that's one of the things that's so wonderful about pipe smoking is no two people agree on anything, but we're kind about it. Can you imagine sitting with a bunch of cigar smokers claiming that the latest Tattoo cigar, you know, $18 cigar is not good or not to your liking? Different folk. I think cinders are better than rock salt, Big Dave, but around these parts they don't use them. They don't really use rock salt in the traditional sense either. It's all these like magnesium chloride pellets and things like that. I haven't seen good old rock salt in a long time. I used to use it, but then my wife said not to use it anymore because a lot of people walk their dogs on our sidewalk, and she wanted to be kind and get the pet safe stuff, which of course is like 4 times more expensive, but haven't needed to use much of it. Ronnie Ewing. Hey, Ronnie. In a blizzard. Oh, my goodness. Got a new Peterson pipe and tobacco to help him through the storm. But first is 673 with Haunted Bookshop and fellowship with the YT. Well, Ronnie, we love sharing that fellowship with you. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, sand can do the job too, Brian. I mean, just something to give you traction, right? Donnie T wants to know about thoughts on 1792 Flake. It's an intriguing blend, Donnie. It's got a very strong topping, I guess you'd say, topping casing. Very unique. I like it. It's not something I would smoke every day, but I like it. Other folks want to comment on 1792? Yeah, Flint Hill, that happens. I mean, I used to be a I only smoked a lot of Kia blends for a long time. Now I can't stand them. That's one of the things that scares me. I built up this cellar for retirement, and I've got over 60 pounds of tobacco squirreled away. Now, granted, a lot of that is stuff I'm not too excited about. It's one-off tins and stuff, but a lot of it is Haunted Bookshop, Old Joe Krantz, and what if my tastes change? What do I do then? 3 to 4 inches of snow in Ohio. Oh, wow, Patrick. Pepe! Yeah, you didn't miss anything, buddy. I mean, we talked about you for a while, but other than that, it was pretty quiet. I talked to a guy once, Big Dave, that had a heated sidewalk, and he said that it was only good for very light snow, because if anything, you'd have to run it so much, because if you didn't, once you started running it, if it was a heavy snow, and if you turned it off, you'd get ice right away, which was worse, because then you get ice with snow on top of it, which is very slippery. So apparently it wasn't worth the electricity cost to keep it on, and during anything but a very light snow. I agree with you that sand can be swept up and reused, but then you'd have to sweep it up. Steve really likes 1792. There you go. Phil is saying accept Syrian. I don't know what that means, Phil, but I think Syrian was the lot of Kia I liked, but I don't know. Sorry, Pepe, had to tease you. Paragon Piper saying 1792 is one of his favorite. Dark full leaf plug, and the topping is tastes something like between vanilla and cocoa with a slight alcohol twinge. It's top quality. I think he meant to say it's Tonquin. And yeah, I agree with you. Vanilla, cocoa, slight alcohol. Yeah, it's a unique flavor, but that comes close to capturing it for sure. Patrick likes the vintage Syrian, the H&H blend. I believe I have a tin of that in that cellar of assorted tins I was talking about. Backcountry Pipe just picked up Fire Dance Flake for next year's Christmas blend. I've had Fire Dance Flake. It's quite nice. Was just talking to Couch about this, I think. Because I think he just bought some, or at least he just pulled some out of his cellar. It's a nice blend. I think Christian Bonapiper introduced me to that one. I think. All right, Cody. You have a great one. Good weekend, and hope the fried rice turns out perfectly, buddy. Ah, Phil, of course you sent me the sample of Syrian. Yes, yes. And that was good, indeed. Yeah, poor Justin Trudeau, huh? Paragon Piper just bought some Canon plug. Ochoita, hello. Good to see you tonight. Old Uncle Mike's asking ideas on deer tongue or tonka bean. Boy, they're very dissimilar, but there is a common theme there in that both of them kind of aren't typically what you think of when you think of tobacco flavors. Yet they do both do a really nice job in the right quantity of just bringing something new to the blend. 10 inches on the ground there, my goodness. I'm on the Arkansas border for Ron Hardcrackers. Good to see you, Ron. Eastern Oklahoma near the Arkansas border. Nothing to do or have to go. Yeah, that's the That's the best way to get 10 inches of snow, right? When you got nothing else to do. Okay, Bonapiper. So it was your kindness that gave me the fire dance flag. It was good stuff. Donnie T likes it as well. Okay, Sergeant Savinelli has a long review of Edward G. If the folks that asked about it want to go check that out. I liked it more than you, Christian. Well, there you go. Kind of like you like that 3-star blue more than me. So, yeah. Tonkin is definitely vanilla-esque, but it's got something else in there, Phil. The same is true with deer tongue. I mean, I understand why people say deer tongue is vanilla, but it's got a green herbal side to it that vanilla just doesn't capture. Tonkin is different, and I think whoever said cocoa and alcohol was pretty on board. Peterson Deluxe mixture in a System 302. This is the first system pipe Ronnie saw before he ever smoked a pipe. Oh, cool. And there's our buddy Palm checking in. Hubba bubba, buddy. Yeah, it's 1792 definitely has Tonka bean. I think they actually come out and admit that. There's some blends that probably have it, and they don't tell you what it is. I'm guessing Peretti uses it in some of their blends. Yeah, Paragon, I wasn't trying to say that they were similar in that they tasted the same, but I think they're similar in that they bring a unique thing to tobaccos that is not usually there. But you're right, they don't taste the same. You're gonna rehydrate it for me, Christian? You're quite a pal. We're gonna have some more furnace time here, guys. Heated towel racks. There you go, Ronnie. Boy, that's what everyone needs. I wouldn't call 965 aromatic, Mike. Maybe somebody else will correct me on that, but I wouldn't call it aromatic. Gary likes the 302 from Peterson. Brian Dawkins has 7 or so system pipes and he loves them all. All right. I was fairly certain that Lao Tzu didn't speak Latin, but I wasn't going to correct you. Santa's Mistake. That's interesting, Ron. I'd not heard about that blend. That is interesting. Doug Owen, good to see you, Doug. So I've been thinking about ways to try to do a little sound dampening around the furnace. Might might try that. I'm just getting tired of explaining it. And every Sunday chat, somebody says your audio sounds funny. Every time the furnace is going to come on, I say, okay, the furnace is going to come on, the audio is going to sound funny. And every Sunday, somebody says your audio sounds funny. We're probably going to be talking Latin, Doug. It's either Latin or Gilligan's Island, one or the other. You know how it works. Oh, Choita's going to have some Coniston cut plug. Cool. And Galwith does make some good stuff, Paragon Piper. I don't do the Lakelandy flavors, though. I thought about a Bluetooth lab mic, Chris. A good one is kind of pricey, and I don't know that it's going to be that much better than what I have. And I was thinking about just putting a cheap moving blanket up just to see if it made a difference at first, and take it from there. I could move to the garage, Big Dave, but the garage is cold. Oh, thank you, Ron. It always sounds funny. That's what I should do. Should just have the furnace run all the time, and then people would just say, "Oh, it sounds normal." Paragon Piper combining the two topics for this evening. Well done. Jim PM checking in on the My Mixture 965. He says he thinks it's a Scottish blend, and I think it was Christian who said it was not aromatic but had a fair amount of Cavendish. Tempest Fugit indeed, Brian, indeed. Thank you, John Brett. Yeah, I think most people say the same thing, that it's not really a big deal, but there's always somebody that hears it and thinks I don't know it's happening. And they're being helpful. They're trying to be helpful, just letting me know that there's something wrong with the audio. No, Big Dave, I never get used to being cold. I lived in Atlanta for 6 years, and that broke me. I have never been able to handle cold weather since then. We trust you on the quote poem. It's okay. Oh, that Dan Quayle was always good for a laugh, wasn't he, Doug? Our current VP said that's great as long as I don't have to stop at the southern border. I agree with you, Paragon. I just worry that they're going to take it away from us. A lot of people want to do that. There you go, Chris. White knuckle MTB. Wanted Bookshock makes the roof of his mouth rough and sensitive. It sounds like it might be drying out the roof of your mouth, white knuckle. I don't know though. Haunted Piper, ice everywhere in Atlanta. Wow. Colder than a well digger's butt. That's a unique way to put it. Yeah, Brian, that was the guy who misspelled potato. I've misspelled potato many times. I I've noticed that my spelling has gotten horrible ever since spell checker. Uh, I'll be writing sometimes, and the new at work we have to use Windows, and the new version of Word, you have to like turn on this side editor to get any spell checking. It doesn't just spell check as I type. There's probably a way to turn it on, but and it's amazing how many times I'll type something, I'll stare at it, I'm like, that can't be right. Yeah. And the more I think about it, the less I know. Spell check has made me a bad speller. The thing I like most about Latin, I see Flint Hill talking about it again, it's a very compact language. If you know any Latin prayers and you look at them side by side with English prayers, it just seems like there's so many fewer words. Not that that's important. It's just interesting to me that you can get the same information conveyed with such fewer words. 2.5 hour drive home. Oh my goodness, Jim. I've had that happen. It's terrible. You just crawl along and yeah, piping a beer can fix that. There's Bob Kraus. Good to see you, Bob. It is annoying, Jim. I have a grocery list that's on my phone, and we've got the Google Assistant around the house. So I'll think of something that I need to put on the grocery list, and I'll say, "Hey, put, cucumbers on the grocery list." And about 50% of the time it says sure, and the other 50% it says, "I'll have to verify your voice first." Uh, It's very annoying that it just doesn't consistently recognize me. Tobacco Pipes International, how you doing, Mark? Oh, no offense taken. It was a great night. Enjoyed your sense of humor there, buddy. You were in rare form. It was fine. Oh yes, Chris, Weber pipes are a thing, and you definitely need to start a collection. Donnie T wants to know if I'm a caffeine addict. I drink a lot of coffee, but I don't know if I'd call myself an. Yeah, probably. I don't think I could get through a day without it. But I also drink tea. Like the coffee at work is terrible. And I have a Keurig that's illegal. I'm not supposed to have it. And I don't use the Keurig pods. I grind 8 o'clock coffee and take it, and I've got one of those little refillable pod things. And that's good. It's not as good as percolating it, but it's such a pain to put together and use and all that that I just wind up making tea when I'm at work, and it's fine. Ronnie, why would you minimize your pipe rack to 4 pipe? Why would you do that? Don't forget to submit your poems to Piper X1X's poem competition. I'll have to look at this. I have to check his channel out. I don't actually know him. VidMaze82 got a corn cob loaded up with Yorktown. Good pure Virginia. Good for you, VidMaze. Yeah, so Ronnie's justifying his downsizing with it being easier to clean. I don't know about that. I mean, you clean one pipe, you clean them all. Backcountry Pipe tried to downsize and he ended up with more. I know that feeling. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Poem, first tin of autumn evening, and he says out of the tin it was great. There you go. You're on that side of the fence. It's a very polarizing blend, and you wouldn't think it would be, actually. Yeah, Jim, we try not to discuss any of the folk from Nantucket. It just takes us to a bad place, usually. Folks, I have finished up my haunted bookshop. Where's my little... There it is. I must have been puffing extra fast tonight. That's okay. We'll wait a minute or two before we load up the next pipe. The backcountry pipe says that he tried C&D's Maple Cavendish based on Timber Drifter and others. And I've heard other people say the same. And he says he liked it more than Autumn Evening. I tried Maple Cavendish and I didn't like it at all. It's funny how that goes. Okay, Palm, I'll definitely have to look for him. What's your favorite of the Lovecraft blends by C&D? Asked Donnie T. Honestly, Donnie, I haven't tried that many of them. The Miskatonic mixture was very nice. I liked that a lot. I had a couple tins of that. I have some of the Dreams of Kadath, I think. That is nice. I smoke that every now and then. But those are the only two that I believe I really tried. Anybody else have a favorite Lovecraft blend? Oh, Jim, I don't think I could do that. Autumn Evening with a Fine English. I don't know. I'm sure it's interesting, but I don't think my Latakia distaste would allow me to do that. Ah, there you go. The Smooth Piper rotates his pipes every 6 months. So you have like 7 or so that you're smoking at a time, and then after 6 months you switch to another 7. Is that the idea? So Poem's asking, what's a Lovecraft blend? So Cornell and Deal has this series that I think they call the Old Ones, I think, that are supposedly inspired by H.P. Lovecraft um, in some way or the other. They all are named after an H.P. Lovecraft thing. I never tried the Visions of, I can't pronounce that, but Calpheus? Celepheus? I've never tried that one, Donnie. But boy, ghosting Meerschaum is not easy to do. So, oh, Doug. Well, it wasn't Nantucket, so I can't complain, I guess. Yeah, you want to be careful with Cthulhu Paragon. Griffin Pipes, how are you tonight? Mad Fiddler Flake is a good one. I've got a tin of that I've never opened, Jim. Someday I'm gonna have to try that. Maybe I'll get that into the tobacco of the month rotation at some point. Oh, love H.P. Lovecraft, Backcountry Pipe. He was an author. Wrote some what is the term called for it? It's horror, but it's got a specific cosmic horror. Uh, Very interesting genre. I really enjoy Lovecraft. Well, Ronnie, that is absolutely true. You know, one thing, and I've talked about this before, you have to smoke a pipe at least 70 to 100 times before it's truly broken in. And a lot of people agree with this. There's something magical that happens to briar after that number of smokes. So people that have, 300 pipe collections may never get to that point with their pipes. So that is a good reason to keep your pipe collection small. Now I've got a fair number. I don't have 300 by any stretch. I don't have 100, but some of mine I've had for over 30 years. So those guys have had that time to, and for a good 12 years, I had less than 7 pipes. So, those guys got a lot of time on them. Yeah, John, Mixture 79 is a very it's an interesting blend, but I really enjoy it. Uh, it's definitely aromatic, but not a goopy aromatic by any stretch. The flavor is hard to describe. Sometimes it's vanilla, sometimes it's root beer, sometimes it's licorice. Varies from bowl to bowl. Lectio Divina, Ronnie, that's a method of reading um, of reading scripture. So it's not, to my knowledge, it's not actually something you study. It's a practice. Yeah, Doug, I love this shirt. I know we've talked about it before. It is just wonderful. And I just told my wife tonight that I want to make a trip to Bean and get another one. But the truth is, this is going nowhere. I mean, I've had this for many years, and it's all beaten up and broken in, and it's just wonderfully comfortable. A cold night like tonight is just the perfect thing to slip on. Yeah, see, white knuckle, that's the problem. And a lot of guys do that. You know, you're 3 months in and you got 18 pipes. Well, you're never going to get to know those 18 pipes if every month you buy another one. You know, so and what the heck is going on? You got the disease that we all have. You got pipe and tobacco acquisition disorder. But slow down, get to know the one you've got. You'll be happier. It's one of the benefits of estate pipes, Paragon. Somebody else did the work for you. There you go, Doug. That's yeah. Those are the pipes you just won't part with, right? Haven't seen Lord Hogarth yet, Paul. He may check in later. He might be lurking. Last time I looked, they still made it, Doug, but I haven't looked for a year or so now. I agree, Mark. The older the better with these shirts, absolutely. I know, Peter. I know. It's hard to stop. Armchair Piper, the poster child for Pat. How you doing, Ed? All right, I'm going to move on to the next pipe, which is going to be the tobacco of the month, Samson and Delilah. I've had a few more bowls of this. I like this stuff. It's very good. And we're going to smoke that in one of my, this is one of my pipes made from a pre-phrased stumble. And I want to talk about that more because I had an interesting conversation with someone about this. But anyway, that's a little billiard. We'll get this loaded up and I'll tell you the story. And the story is going to somewhat prefigure my video for Sunday. Somewhat. Prefigure, is that the word I want? I think that's the word I want. For those of you tuning in late, I'm working on 2 hours sleep, so if I don't make sense, you know. But I doubt I make sense usually, so you probably won't notice. Oh, wow, Doug. Well, those 6 pipes, they got a head start on it for you anyway. Wow. Thank you, Peter. So if you don't remember or weren't here last week, Samson and Delilah is a Ken Byron Venture blend. And according to him, this contains Samson, which is a very unique Oriental, Virginia, and Cavendish. It's very Oriental forward, and yeah, beautiful stuff. We'll get that lit. Doug says he's got a couple of briars where they are burning out around the draft hole. Huh. I don't know, Doug. I mean, unless there's some flaw in them that's causing that to happen, I would think they're burning too hot. So you're either smoking them too hot or something. I don't know. I mean, you could try a little bit of pipe mortar in the bottom and see if that helps. But I don't know. Anyone else have an answer to that? Why would a briar burn out around the draft hole? Backcountry pipe, I kind of forced myself to rotate, so there's probably some that are a bit neglected. Like, for example, my gourd calabash, I very rarely smoke that pipe. So there's a couple like that. But for the most part, I try to force myself to go through the rotation. Peter, this is, I forget what Larry calls this, but it's the Egyptian sarcophagus tamper from Larry. I remember joking with him because Eric made up a goofy name for it, like the King Valley of the Kings or something like that. And I said, well, why don't you just call it like the Pharaoh or, you know? But no, I think it's the Valley of the Kings. I think that's what he calls it. Yeah, but Doug, even over smoking to the bottom, you should build cake there and it shouldn't burn out. So something odd is going on. Infringinator, good to see you, buddy. Oriental Silk's a very nice blend, Jim. So white knuckle, in my opinion, it depends on what you mean by fully break in. So I'll usually, with a new pipe, I'll smoke Quanta Bookshop in it. And the way I break them in, and I've talked about this before, is I just smoke the heck out of them. So I will smoke it at least once a day, sometimes several times a day, and do that on consecutive days until I feel like it's smoking right. And then it'll sit just next to me on the table side near my recliner, and I'll make sure that I smoke it at least once a day until it's behaving itself, and then it goes in the pipe rack. So that's how I break them in. Now, I wouldn't say that's perfectly broken in, because like I was saying earlier, you need like 70 to 100 smokes in that for it to become your pipe. But at least that gets some cake building, and it starts to behave properly. That's a good point, Palm. You know, Doug, I know you enjoy a few fingers of brown liquid with your pipes. Maybe you're blowing alcohol vapor down there and starting a little alcohol burn. I'm just kidding, Doug. I know that's not happening. I don't have any P-lips, Ochoita. I tried them. I don't like them. So here's the thing about this pipe. So this pipe was made from not exactly this shape, but something like this. So this is a stummel that was at a factory pre-phrased, so it's drilled. In this case, just the tobacco chamber is drilled. The drilling, this is just a mark on the end here. It hasn't, the airway hasn't been drilled, but basically it's rough shaped, right? So that's what a pre-phrased stem was. And that's what this pipe was made from. This pipe, which I haven't done final polish on, it's been sitting on the bench forever. This was made from a chunk of briar like this. So all that shaping was done by me from this point. Now in both cases, I'm making a stem, I'm tailoring the airway, I'm doing all the stuff that sort of makes the pipe smoke well. But there's that first period, first part of the process that's not hands-on, that's kind of done elsewhere and done in a factory setting. The reason I bring this up is I was talking to somebody this week, and I'm going to be smoking a pipe on Sunday for the first time that is actually has been sent to me by this pipe maker because he asked me if I would give an honest review of it, and I said, yeah, sure, as long as I can be 100% honest, I'll do that. So on Sunday, I don't want to give anything away, but watch my video from this Sunday, and you'll see the pipe and everything. It's a beautiful pipe. I've looked at it. I haven't smoked it yet. And I was checking in with him on how he makes them and stuff, and I knew by the volume that he was talking about, it didn't seem like he was hand carving them, and I thought he maybe had outsourced to a factory and was just having them made for him, because he talked about designing the pipe. But again, it didn't seem like he could have been keeping up with the numbers, since he's just one person. And what he told me was he's actually contracting with factories to do this part, and then he's taking it from here. So he's making the stems, he's putting on the bands, he's finishing and finishing the carving and everything. So there's a lot of work that goes into that. So the question is, so as we were talking about this, he says to me, yeah, I want to be completely transparent. These are factory pipes. And I thought, is that true? I mean, they start in a factory for sure, but would you call that a factory pipe? I mean, there's a lot more hands-on care put into that pipe than I believe something like a Savinelli would have put into it. Nothing against Savinellis, I love them. So I've been thinking about that since this conversation. Is that a factory pipe, or is that, it's not an artisan pipe either, because it didn't start from just a raw block of briar. So what do you call that? And I've been thinking about this a lot. Big Country Briar, good to see you, Cole. So cold he had to go to a cigar lounge. 30 minutes till someone handed him a bourbon. Oh, man. Hand finished, is that what you'd call it, Phil? So I've been struggling because I've got a lot of these things, and I'm probably going to be making more, and I don't know what to call them. I've been calling these CaneRod pipes, so this will be CaneRod pipe number 6, I think, and that makes sense, but I don't want to call this CaneRod pipe number 5 because this didn't start the way this one started. This one was, what did Phil call it? Hand finished, whereas this one was handmade. So that's one way to think about it, but I don't have a good name for these. And as I was pondering this, I thought, boy, it's really a conundrum. And then I thought, well, that's the perfect name, so I'm going to call these conundrums. Let me know what you think. And that's my story. I hope you enjoyed that. I know it wasn't much of a story, but I wanted to get it off my chest because it's been bothering me all week. I like hand finished as a way to explain it. I think that's a really good choice. But if you're trying to think of something, like if you're going to have a line of pipes that's made from these, you wouldn't want to call them hand finished. I think that would confuse people. Right? You need something else, something catchy. Hybrid pipe? That's interesting, Jim. And finished new old stock. Well, that's the interesting difference. So these are new old stock in that these are probably 30 some years old from the time they were phrased. Whereas his approach is to actually have a factory take these today and shape them. So his isn't new old stock. His is new stock. I'm never going to take commissions, Chris. I don't even know if I'm ever going to sell a pipe, but I'm certainly not going to take commissions. I will just, I'll make them because I enjoy making them, and if somebody wants to buy them, there you go. Dogs are doing great in Fringinator, and the fox has probably come back. I mean, there are nights when they'll be out there and just all of a sudden explode in barking, and by the time I get out there, it's all over. But yeah, that was a funny story. It is my story, Paul. Indeed. Absolutely, Cole. I don't think there's any issue with a pre-molded stem or a pre-drilled block as long as they're hand finished and care is taken to finish them. I mean, you need to do a lot of work on a molded stem. And one of the reasons I never used them when I was making stems for people was that it took me longer to get a pre-molded stem in the shape that I wanted it to be in terms of the internal airway than it would take me to just make one from a rod. BS pipes. There you go, Phil. Thank you, buddy. I love it, Phil. That's you're not trying to in any way keep the competition down with that, are you? I'm kidding, Phil. Like I could ever be competition for you. My goodness. Dog bone would be a good name because you're chewing on the factory stub. You're not really going to be chewing on the stub, but yeah, okay. Oh, you guys are kind, Chris and Armchair. Yeah, I don't know. I'm doing it because I enjoy it. I like playing with the engineering and stuff and seeing what effects it has. I like playing with the finishing. So, I don't know if I'm ever going to sell them. I might start doing some very limited restorations again, though. James Steidle just packed 1Q and a Peterson Army Bulldog. A lot of Petersons tonight. Oh, BS stands for Basic Smoker. Gotcha, Phil. I thought something else when I read that. Small batch. That would be SB. Oh, amen. Okay, Ronnie. I got you, Phil. I got you. Yeah, Steve, that little nose warmer was made from exactly this odd little stumble in it. And I say odd because it's got a square shank, which I didn't quite know what to do with. Um, I don't know if I'll make more of them or not. I don't really know. That kind of just kind of organically happened. I just wanted to do something with it and see how it would turn out. So I hope I can recreate it. Your drive for the new year, Ronnie. Well, there you go. Sounds like it's going to be an exciting year. Yes, I have to put on my glasses to see what time it is. Well, thank you, Ronnie. I don't think anybody's ever called my flannel sick before. I'm quite quite proud of that. Smooth Piper's finished his haunted bookshop and he's switching to Granger, an Italian freehand rusticated pipe. Very nice. Donnie T's asking if we clean the ash out of our bowls after each smoke. It depends on what you mean by that, Donnie. So I will certainly take this guy here in and mix it up and make sure that everything's loose, and then I'll knock it on a knocker in an ashtray. But that's it. I don't like take a pipe cleaner or anything, go in there and scrub it. Some people do. I don't. And when I'm breaking in a pipe, and this goes to cake formation, what I'll do is, I already emptied the ash on this so I can show you what this one. I'll go in and I'll do that. I'll loosen everything up. The pipe is at this point cool, so it's all cool. I'll then put my hand over it and do this and just kind of shake it to coat that ash around the inside and then dump it out. I only do that for maybe the first, I don't know, 10 bowls or so. And that seems to help you get a nice even cake forming. But after that, I always remove it and knock it out into the ashtray, like I said. And I never sort of scrub the bowl out with pipe cleaners, although I do know folks that do. There's one fellow here who will not be named, but he's from the north and he is in the live stream right now. And he's a good friend. He showed me a pipe that he, was a pipe that he smoked all the time, and I looked at it and it looked like the darn thing was brand new. The briar of the bowl it looked like you had just picked up a new pipe and it had never been smoked, because he does not allow any cake to form. And he likes it that way. There's little Piper Todd. Yeah, there's not many source for the new old stock ones anymore, Phil. I got lucky. I bought a bunch of them. The company was going out of business, but I doubt that'll come along again anytime soon. Picking and piping. Good evening, sir. Good to see you. You definitely do keep a clean pipe on a piper. Shockingly clean. First time I met Christian, I was up in Montreal for the jazz festival, and we met up for the day. It was a great day, best time. And here I am meeting him for the first time, and I'm the pipe restoration guy on YouTube, and I'm restoring pipes for people and everything. And I pull out my pipes, and they're all grungy and caked and everything else. And his pipes look like he just walked out of the store with them.
Like, yeah, that's nice. Just don't put it too close to mine because it makes mine look really, really bad. Armchair piper, you do keep a clean pipe as well, yes. And Ed's one of these people that will smoke a pipe once and then it goes away. Uh, I don't remember if that's the way you work as well, Christian, but I'm not one of those people. I smoke a pipe all day. RNAs, I think they're done, Phil. I think they've gone out of business. Yeah, Ron, pipes like that are beautiful things, you know. It, sometimes those cheap basket pipes, or in this case, an unfinished one, you know, you just make it your own. And you know, it was Matches who said it to my memory, but a lot of other people have said something similar. You know, a pipe in reality is two holes that are connected. You got your tobacco chamber, you got your airway, and everything else is just decoration. And you know, as long as that tobacco chamber and airway are connected up right and about the right diameters, you can't go wrong. So you get something like a $3 unfinished Dublin and you make it your own and it will become your favorite pipe. I've heard of folks doing that. Brian Dawkins, you know, honey and all sorts of other things to encourage the cake. I've never found it necessary if I do what I described, but you know, whatever works, works. You're not alone picking and piping. There's quite a few folks that said it's too cold to smoke outside tonight, so us indoor smokers are making you all feel bad right now. Yeah, technically three, but you know, once the mortise and the tenon go together, Phil, they don't count as a whole anymore. They just become part of that decoration. And you could make a pipe that was all one piece, right? I wouldn't, but you could. Oh, Brian, I love the Montreal Jazz Festival. I haven't been there in years, but yeah, it's a great time. There's something about live jazz that is just, I mean, I like jazz. I can listen to recorded jazz, but live jazz is like 1,000 times better. It's an experience that you just can't get any other way. And to be in a crowd of 1,000 people all enjoying the same music, that's, you can't beat that. And it's July and it's hot, and that man or woman comes walking by with that big tray of ice cold Heineken, and it's overpriced and it's not good beer, but you buy it anyway, and it just makes everything right. I don't know the exact number on the burning temperature of Briar. Maybe somebody else does, but it's quite hot. It's quite a high temperature. Well, got a little too narrow for the Valley of the Kings, so I switched to one of my shop dampers. Oh, you mean that Dublin pipe, Ochoita? I love that pipe.
I also have a basket billiard that's very similar in size and shape to this one, that I like a lot. Yeah, and it's had a basket pipe for over 50 years. My favorite is over 30 years, and yeah, I will never give that pipe away. Phil, that's a pretty astute observation there. The difference between jazz and rock. Yeah. Oh, that's okay, Christian. I translate autocorrect. Ah, I see. Yeah, yeah. It's That's one of the nice things about work-related travel is you at least get to explore the local pipe and tobacco shops. Yeah. Thank you, Peter. Yes, let's hit the like button, guys. It helps build the community. Fondle the like button. There you go, Phil. So tobacco burns at about 500 and briar burns at approximately 700. That's in Celsius. I almost said centigrade again. I'm an old man. A good blues festival live is also. I've never been to a live blues festival, Paragon, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. Any favorite artists? Asked Bid Maze. So I like old school stuff. Some it's going to be obvious things. It's going to sound like I'm just a poser because of some of these names. Thelonious Monk, especially. I love the stuff that Monk did with Coltrane. I think Coltrane was at his peak then. Not so much Miles Davis, a little bit, but not so much. I really like Dave Brubeck, but then I love going to these festivals because you hear these new upcoming artists and sometimes some very unique stuff. Like one year I was at the Montreal Jazz Festival and I saw a group perform called, I think they were called Damesh Marsh, and they were an Israeli jazz band that used a silly number of drums. And it sounds crazy, but you can actually find videos on YouTube of them performing, and it was just such a unique sound. I really enjoyed it. Um, and there's been a lot of groups like that, and of course I'm struggling to come up with names right now. But uh, but yeah, the older stuff like Mel Torme, I really like if you're talking about vocal jazz. Um, I could go on, but you get the point. Ah, I used to volunteer at Edmonton, huh, Brian? That's pretty cool. Yeah, H&H Burley was good, Jim. So that's unfortunate, but there are several that are as good. Count Basie, yeah, sure thing. Even some of the older, like this is getting into big band type stuff, but Count Basie was in that. Glenn Miller and oh, who am I thinking of right now? His name will come to me, but
and not like that early Sinatra sound, that kind of stuff. Tommy Dorsey, that's not who I was trying to think of, but yeah. Pete Fountain is the only clarinet that Phil likes. Phil, you're not a fan of Woody's clarinet? Ron Carter Quartet. Not familiar with them, poem, but that's the kind of stuff I really like. These small. Uh, there's some really good local jazz musicians here, and I know some of them personally because I have a good friend who is a um, what's the big saxophone? Is there a bass saxophone? I don't know. The really big saxophone. He plays that in jazz bands, and so he's introduced me to a couple of the local musicians, and I've been to some of their live performances, and that's always fun. I don't have the time to do it anymore, but I enjoyed doing that a lot. Jackie Gleason present. There was talent there, Phil. Yeah. I agree, Red, and a lot of folks will groan if you say that Time Out is one of the best albums ever made, but I agree with you. I mean, yes, the time signature stuff was a little gimmicky, but boy, he did it well. 90s smooth jazz. Yeah, there's a place for that. I'm not much a fan of it, Bid Mays, but Louis Armstrong, Piper said, yeah, I can't beat Louis. Relativity indeed, Ronnie. I got to see Brubeck play live the last year that he was at the Montreal Jazz Festival. He that used to be an annual thing for him. And I had tickets to see him in Philadelphia when he was touring that following year. And he got sick and canceled the show. And then he died shortly after that. So I was really fortunate that I got to see him play live. And it was an interesting experience because he was quite old at the time. And he actually had people walk him out on stage to the piano. And, he couldn't, he was too frail to actually cross the stage by himself. But he started playing, and man, there was no mistaking that sound. It was him through and through, and he was perfect. And then the show was over, and they came over and helped him to get up to take a bow, and they walked him off. It was really something. Is it a baritone sax, Patrick? I don't know. I'm not much of a brass instrument guy, so. Movie about Dylan's beginnings. That sounds interesting, Christian. A complete unknown. Tan Mahal and his orchestra, a man from another planet? Okay. Oh, Louis Prima. I love Louis Prima. My grandfather actually introduced me to him. He used to sing Louis Prima songs to me when I was a kid. Oh, thank you, Infringinator. That's really kind of you to say. The sounds of smooth jazz are what actually brought down the walls of Jericho. There you go, James. I was thinking Taj Mahal when you wrote that, Brian, but okay. I didn't know. I didn't know if you were doing something else there. Oh, Dixieland's good stuff too. You actually saw Dizzy play, Patrick? That's incredible. That's the sort of thing that might limit your future invites, Ron. Mitch Miller, follow the bouncing ball, Phil. That was awkward. But that was back in the days when folks like Liberace and oh, what's his name? Ovan Nanatu, the accordion guy, Guy Lombardo, had their own shows. Good stuff, though. I didn't know about that plagiarism thing, Christian. That's interesting. Ed got to see Count Basie. Wow. Lawrence Welk. What did I say? I said Guy Lombardo. I was thinking Lawrence Welk. Who the heck is? I don't know who Guy Lombardo is. I'm tired. You'll have to forgive me. Then I dropped my tamper. Oh, well. Yeah, there's some Amish markets around. Not in the immediate area in Fringinator, but if we go into Philly, there's always Amish at the what's it called? Big market in Philly, Reading Terminal. And then there's a farmers market up in Allentown. It's a year-round indoor farmers market thing, and they always have some Amish shops there. I'm gonna get my tamper. Oh no, I'm not. It disappeared. Uh-oh. Well, I can't have gone far. That's gonna bug me. That happens to me a lot here. I'll drop something, and I'm like, it just fell straight down, and then I can't find it. And then like a month later, I'll be sweeping, and there it'll be. Zanfir, master of the pan flute. Oh my goodness. Those commercials were crazy. Oh, Phil, that's a great story. And not terribly surprising. Cake is the insulation to longevity. Christopher Morley. You're a Ronnie. What are the chances a spider got my tamper? You know, I've been spending a lot of time down here, Chris, and I've been doing a lot of cleaning and organizing, and I have not seen any spiders. So I don't think it was a spider, but oh God, I hope it wasn't a spricket though. Paul Johnson, retrohaled PS Bullseye Flake and got amaretto? Really? That's interesting. Oh, there's one in Newtown? That is interesting, Ed. Engelbert Humperdinck. You know what Engelbert Humperdinck's real name is? Jerry Dorsey. Why in the world he had to go by Engelbert Humperdinck is beyond me. You lost 2 tampers at the same time, Donnie. Well, that's impressive. It's hiding with all the 10mm sockets. Yes. You know, I did not find a single 10mm socket down here. I don't understand. Oh yeah, those would have been worth money today, Phil. My goodness. Herb Albert. Just for fun, indeed.
I didn't really find anything pipe related when I was cleaning up Christian. It was mostly nuts and bolts and things like that. I mean, a surprising number of nuts and bolts and washers that I must have dropped. And you know, I have a couple of containers where anytime I take something apart, or you know, sometimes you buy things and they come with extra nuts or whatever, I sort them into. I've got one for bolts and one for nuts and washers and all that. So if I drop one and I can't find it, I'll just go and get another and, you know, put the thing back together that way. So I found a lot of those. But nothing really pipe related. Humper and Dink does tell us a lot, yes. Well, there was a classical musician named Engelbert Humperdinck, so I think that's why they chose that name, but it just seems like such an odd choice when Jerry Dorsey sounds like a perfectly fine name for somebody in his genre. $10mm sockets vanish to an alternate universe, Phil, and are replaced with hex keys. I have more hex keys than any human being should be allowed to have. Where did the time go indeed? Are we approaching the end here, Patrick? I can't see the clock. Oh gosh, we're over time. My goodness. We got a little bit of beer to go here. Oh, Tom Jones, yes. All right, Brian, you have a great weekend, buddy. We're going to be wrapping up here. It's daylight savings. We still have an hour. No, Infringinator, no. I can't stay up any longer. I'm beat. Chug-a-lug. Patrick's our official greeter and timekeeper, and I love him for it. Good night, Armchair Piper Ed. You have a great weekend, buddy. All right, Mark, you take care and have a good weekend. I wish I could pour another call. I'd love to stay on longer, but I'm running on like 2 hours sleep from last night, and I just have to go to bed right now. So I will finish this up. Thank you all for joining me. Wonderful conversation tonight. It is the highlight of my weekend, highlight of my week, and really enjoyed it as always. So thank you again. You all take care. Check out the Sunday video because I'll be smoking a new pipe in that, and I think you guys are going to be interested in it. And beyond that, take care, and we'll see you next week. Good night, all.